Did the Broncos get a great value with the contract they agreed to with Nik Bonitto? Mace here to break down the particulars of the latest big contract extension for the Broncos as they get Nik Bonitto done. It's another deal in the books, of course, on top of getting Quinn Miners, Pat Surtain, Jonathan Cooper, and Garrett Bowles done last year, and of course earlier in the summer, getting Courtland Sutton and Zach Allen under contract. Now you can add Nik Bonitto, another item checked off George Paton's shopping list. This one, you did wonder whether Nik Bonitto and his camp were going to bet on themselves, bet on Nik Bonitto potentially playing his way up into the elite class of edge rushers in terms of contracts. And you see where those contracts have gone in the last few months. Nik Bonitto wasn't going to get the money of Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, or TJ Watt, for example, but certainly the Parsons contract set the market higher. But all along, the Bonitto contract was going to be in the next tier, perhaps, and that's where the discussion got interesting as we got to Max Crosby, Josh Hines-Allen, Brian Burns, and Montez Sweat, the next tier of contracts. And this is where you're talking about the Broncos getting a nice value for Nik Bonitto, because at $70 million, that's a hefty guarantee, no doubt, but that does come in under the total guarantee for Pat Surtain, and it comes in under those guarantees for Brian Burns, Josh Hines-Allen, and Montez Sweat. Now, when it comes to career accomplishments, certainly this is where Bonitto had less leverage, because he only had the one season that he could really bank on, and that was 2024, 13 and a half sacks. The others that we're talking about, Montez Sweat, Brian Burns, Josh Hines-Allen, those guys had multiple good years. Now, in the case of Montez Sweat, as you'll see here, he did not have a double-digit sack season before signing his deal midway through 2023. He was on his way to a double-digit sack season that year, but he had been a starter for multiple years, whereas Nik Bonitto only a full-time starter in 2024. You look at Josh Hines-Allen, he's a starter his entire career in Jacksonville. Certainly, as John Fox would say, he had more skins on the wall before he got his deal. So when you look at Josh Hines-Allen's contract, getting more of a guarantee than Nik Bonitto, that's pretty fair, even though he did sign that a year before Nik Bonitto gets his deal. Nik Bonitto also less in terms of average per year, at least in terms of the base. Bonitto could play that average per year up from $26 million to $30 million, but right now, Nik Bonitto's APY of $26 million under that of Josh Hines-Allen, and that actually seems pretty fair based on the level of accomplishment. Brian Burns, kind of the same deal you're talking about here. Brian Burns, $87.5 million in terms of guaranteed money. That's $17.5 million more than Nik Bonitto, and a bit more, $2.2 million per year in terms of APY. But of course, Nik Bonitto can play his way into a little bit more, hitting some incentives. Certainly by getting this done now, Nik Bonitto ensures himself in case of injury. If something does happen to him this year, he's taking care of himself. He's got that generational, life-changing money. So he's in good shape there. He's taking the security. And if Bonitto does build off the season that he had in 2024 and has another 13.5, 14.5 sack type of season, you may be looking at this contract and saying this is a great value, because if his sack production continues to be in that double-digit range, and we're talking about him becoming one of those elite rushers like you see in these big contracts here, quite frankly, the Broncos may be looking at a little bit of a steal on the edge market in Nik Bonitto. Broncos have to be pretty happy about this. Another item off the contract checklist before they get into the 2025 season. Thanks for watching.